Hey, what's up there, guys? So welcome to my channel, and obviously if you're actually clicking on this video, you're probably clicking on it for the title. So to make a long story short, and I'll get right into it, and I know I just want to ask you first off, if you are a returning subscriber, thanks for watching another one of my YouTube videos, and if you are new here, consider subscribing while it helps out my channel. And obviously if you're one to fly a drone, you're probably clicking on a channel for that. Then if you have a channel and you have drone footage or whatever you have or whatever your interest may be, I'll obviously subscribe to you. It's just the way it goes in the world. I'm almost actually at 500 subscribers, so I'm getting pretty excited to see what I can do with getting into the YouTube partnership program. But anyway, without further ado, let's get right into it. So first off, I'm actually going to try to save you from some of my mistakes. The first thing I want to say is in DJI, I didn't actually know this. Whether or not they allow it or not, I don't really know. I didn't ask them. So the first thing, and probably my mistake, is I actually bought a battery off of Amazon, and it was a little bit of an extended life battery, so I thought I could get a little bit more time on there. It was an aftermarket battery, and if anybody's familiar with car parts and electronics and things like that, they do not work with most aftermarket parts on cars, especially like Lexus and Toyota and stuff like that, and GM's pretty picky too. They don't work. So now I'm discovering that I went a little cheap and I bought a battery thinking I would get a better battery with an extended lifetime, and it actually ended up making my drone, it basically cut short. And for some reason, whether it was because of factors of temperatures and things that day, the battery, and again, I'm going to have the video on how it actually happened, so I don't have it right now. I can't think of my mind what it is, but it started off at like 32%, and it basically just went down to 16% or somewhere along them lines, and then it dropped down to like 8 or 6, and the next thing you know it, I got a warning. And I was trying to get this thing, whether it was actually in a causeway where there was 2 reservoirs on each side of the road. I was actually trying to get it to the side of the road. Well, it didn't happen, and my mother was looking at the drone when she was in the vehicle, and I was actually looking at the controller trying to see land and just get it over, but it just dropped. The impeller stopped, the power cut, and it landed into the reservoir, and I could not recover it no matter what I did. It was too far off, and I looked up the depth of it, and it was like 23 feet in the lowest section of it and 50 feet in the highest section of it. So I'm making this video first off to say you do not want to use an I mean, maybe it was just a fluke thing, but I wouldn't recommend using anything other than an OEM battery. So from now on, anything I get is going to be from DJI, the website, and I'm not going to use anything aftermarket. And if I just don't have the money to get it, I'll do without, and I'll keep my videos short. I'll be a little more careful with the drone because it's something I'd like to keep, and I really enjoy this hobby, and it's basically my only hobby. So I will say, if you're still watching this, do not buy any Amazon batteries, because if you think you're getting a little bit more range out of it, you're not going to. And another thing I want to say about the battery is there's actually firmware. So the battery itself is somewhat of a control module, and this battery kind of confused me. So every time I put it in the drone, it'd say I need a firmware update, and the aftermarket battery or the Amazon battery, when I put it in there, it would say it wasn't up to date. I do it, it would fail at a certain percentage. I think it was 23%. I'd have to look it up I won't know now because I don't even have the battery. But anyway, as soon as I put the OEM battery in there, the firmware was up to date. So it had something to do with the module or the control of the aftermarket battery. So I wouldn't recommend at all putting an aftermarket battery in any of your drones and cheaping out like that. Second off, I want to say, if you're gonna fly, and what I did is I went throughout the day, and all the trees had actually, there was a storm before and everything iced over, so it was like a beautiful day. The sun was shining, it was blue skies, a few clouds in the sky, and all the trees had the ice from the ice storm that we had. So I went out and I went into numerous places in New York, and I actually was flying this thing, and that's what's killing me the most is I don't have the footage, and I don't know how it didn't transfer onto the remote. I know the quality is not going to be as good, but the actual footage is what really killed me. And of course, I at first, until DJI, and I'll get into that, they reached out and saved me and warrantied it, which I'm very thankful. So I will have to say that if you are looking to buy a drone and you happen to catch this video, I will say DJI, their customer service, everything about them has been super, and I'm just so thankful. And if anybody's watching this and you're clicking on it and you work at DJI or you happen to catch this video, I am so thankful for you guys warrantying it, and it totally made my day, because it's not a time in my life right now to come up with another $800, and I was actually lucky because my mother bought it for a Christmas present for me. So I am very thankful if you're watching it. But again, getting into it, I lost the footage and things happened. but the drone actually did, you know, it was too far offshore, and like I said, the reservoir was actually 23 to 50 foot deep, and they do sink. So once that happens, it's gone. So DJI actually had me send in it was the cloud video of it, and you know, they saw that the battery had malfunctioned and they warranted it. So I'm very thankful. So before I actually show the flight record log style or file, which is actually going to show the drone in action, and it's basically going to be on it's actually not a satellite view, it's actually kind of like a Google Maps type of view. And this is for the FFA, they record all these just in case an accident or something like that happened. Here are the tips before I actually get into that. So if you are new here, you're especially going to want to listen to this, and you know, keep an eye on the things you're doing, because you can lose your little hobby, toy, whatever you want to call it, very quick. So keep in mind, before any flight, you're going to want to charge the battery full. And there is actually, I think there's a recommended percentage you don't want to let the battery drop below. I'll look it up and I'll put it up on the screen there. But you definitely want a full charged battery, which I didn't do because I had so much awesome footage throughout the day of the ice and everything. I'm like, it was actually, believe it or not, it was actually the moon was in the sky, and I was coming home. It was just at dusk. And I thought, I already did the late during the morning. Now I can fly over, I can get the ice, and I can get the moon in the footage. And I was like going nuts. It was going to be one of my best videos I had ever done, scenic wise. And of course, it sank to the bottom of the reservoir, so I can't get the SD card. But it is what it is. So anyway, keep that battery fully charged. And second off, the aftermarket batteries, just like aftermarket electronic parts on cars, stay away from them. I overemphasize that. So buy your stuff from DJI. And then third off, I didn't actually post this video because I didn't really, I kind of, it was a survivor. I got it out of there. I got a little, the impellers were a little knick-knacked and banged up a little bit, but I flew it into the Hoosick Tunnel. And if anybody's familiar with what that is, it's actually a local tunnel. It's in Massachusetts, and there's millions of trains that go through it. The place is haunted too, so maybe a ghost or something took it out. But I flew the drone into the tunnel, and I could have just walked into it with my camera, and that was my stupidity there. And it was dark in there, and the drone actually went behind a piece of insulation. It was icy, and there was dripping water. Oh, it was a fun day. Luckily, I got out of there with no trains coming. So, keep in mind, no flying in the dark places either. But let's get into the log video, and we'll talk about a little bit of what happened. Just keep an eye on the battery, and you'll see what happened. And we'll end this. Again, thanks for watching, and consider subscribing. So there it is, 28% starting off. It was actually 32 when I got it out of the car and got it turned on and everything. You'll see it start to actually move. The next thing you're actually going to see is you're going to see the low battery symbol come on. It's going to tell you, and you're going to see it drop right down to about 7 or 8%. Yeah, 7%. So there was no time. This is why DJI actually warranted the thing, because they know it was a battery problem. It shouldn't have happened like that. Something malfunctioned. So what is the aftermarket battery? What happened? You know, it did malfunction. Here we go, though. You'll see it. It'll take its course, whether I try to get it to the land or it has an automatic land sense that can actually bring it to land. You can comment, let me know if you know more about them than me. But anyway, it didn't actually make it, and the video doesn't do the justice in how far it was from there, because it's actually pretty far from the causeway. So obviously seeing how the battery depleted, and I did do a little research, and while the drone, it doesn't seem like anybody says anything about there's programming in it that this thing can actually, you know where the land is versus the water, but it is programmed that once the battery gets down to 15%, it is programmed no matter what you do, it's going to initiate the landing, and it's going to land where it is. So it does that, so it doesn't come crashing out of the sky. But obviously that's why DJI actually warranted it for me, because that's basically what happened, is the battery completely depleted and just died, and the impeller stopped, and it just crashed to the ground. And for any of you who are watching, could you retrieve it? Could you find it? Maybe you're even going to want to go out there and look for it. So I don't even know if there's even a boat allowed in this reservoir, first off. And second off, it's, again, the depth of it is anywhere from 23 feet to 50 feet deep. So, you know, unless you got a submarine or something. It is also man-made. I knew that too. So there's not like a nice little gradual shoreline. It looks like it just drops, and it's cold out, so I wasn't going to go swimming. If it was warm out, I'm sure I would have kind of come up with some different ideas, and DJI did ask if I was able to recover it, and I used all effort to actually try to recover it, and that didn't happen. So hopefully these little tips help you out, and if you got this far, thanks for watching, and happy drone flights, and consider subscribing. Leave me a comment. Let me know some of your experiences, maybe some of your bad stuff, so I can learn from yours, and give it a thumbs up. Okay, so let's open it up. Obviously, we get the box here, looking at it, mixed merchandise, check contents carefully. It says fragile. Obviously, they're fragile. And let's go, of course, get the rest of my mess and information on there. And we're going to go ahead and let's open it up. And let's see how they did. Let's see. I'm supposed to have one drone and one battery. One DJI Mini 3 Pro and one lithium ion equivalent battery. So I don't know if this is going to be, I'm assuming, even though I didn't get to retain mine and give it back to them, I'm assuming it's going to be refurbished. Or looks like mixed merchandise. Yeah, mixed merchandise. Mixed merchandise. Yeah, great. So mixed merchandise. Check content fully. So obviously it probably comes just as you get it. So let's open this baby up. Looks like it's brand new. DJI Mini 3 Pro. And one battery. So I want to say first off, I am going to include the flight, the actual, I want to say the Google Maps or the actual crash of the drone and how it happened, so you'll be able to watch. If you pay attention to it, you're actually going to see the, so you can see it there. You're actually going to see the battery life. If you watch it throughout, you will see the battery life. I believe it goes from like, I think it's 16 to 8% or something. You'll see it drop down anyway. So I will have that next in the video.